what was the first single from the album that you guys from Null?
We released Good Days in, I think it was December. Pretty like far out ahead of the album because we had a music video ready to go and just sort of wanted to start trickling some stuff out.
Heck yeah.
And then like more officially, Lavender was
Okay.
the next one.
So when I first heard those two singles, I genuinely had no idea what to expect from the album, which I'm assuming was kind of the intention, right?
That was definitely something we kind of wanted. We wanted to have something that kind of showed, like a little bit of what we did, but not really be like, hey, this is exactly what, like we're going to sound like for, a couple of the songs. We wanted to have something that's going to be pretty far stretching of, like the corners of what we did on the album.
Yeah, and I think Lavender is definitely like the furthest to one side. I wouldn't necessarily say Good Days is the furthest to the other side, but it is really cool to hear that spectrum of what you guys do.
There was some like concerted decisions there. Just like, there were a few pairs of songs that maybe we liked better. And like length is a big deal, and like how the song starts. There were one or two where I was like, well, I like this song a lot and I think it might do okay, but if someone listened to the first 30 seconds and like weren't willing to give it the full 5 minutes and 15 seconds or whatever.
Yeah.
So
which songs are you thinking of in that?
Insomnia was the one that really came to mind, where it opens very patiently, I would say.
I think a lot of your songs open patiently, but in a good way. Because, like, I think the album, opening up with Snowed In, panned all the way to the right, with just this kind of like nice guitar, and then boom, the rest of the band is in. It's like it's like I said, it was. I was literally like, since I was sitting here, I was like writing up a little like synopsis in my mind of what the album was, and it was like a magical opening to this journey, right? Like kind of ready to take you on a journey. And then, like I said, Lavender caught me off guard. Tell me about Lavender, because that one kind of seemed like the oddball out of like it's a great song, but it kind of seemed like the unique one, the one that wasn't necessarily the same like all the others.
Yeah, I mean that's it's very keen of you to notice that it is the oldest song in this batch of songs.
Okay.
Probably by like a solid 9 months or so. Like its gap between any of the next couple of songs that came. So I think like in many ways it was sort of a transition for us into whatever realm we've sort of like stepped into from previously. So I think like it, especially with some of the songs that didn't make the cut for the album, it makes sense as like the sinew between some previous songs we've done and this whole batch.
Heck yeah. And with it being the first one, were there like, since there's 9 months between, I'm assuming some of the songs that got cut were those ones written between that time and the new batch?
Yeah, it was pretty much there was like an old batch of like four or five, I would say, and then Lavender and Good Days were the only two that made it out of that, and the rest were dropped just for a myriad reasons. But it was just the one that like sort of survived. We knew that people enjoyed it and sort of knew it, and that was part of the reason why we wanted to keep it. The recording itself turned out good, especially when it was sort of touched up. So we decided to keep that one in there.
Yeah, and I thought that was interesting too, because there's a slight difference to the the recording style, it almost sounded like with Lavender. It almost felt like it was recorded separately, but it still fit. Like I said, it was kind of cool. It was interesting to me. But with like that transition from Lavender and Good Days to the new stuff, what was it that kind of changed with your writing and getting the new batch of songs that you were preparing?
Well, a lot of it became more collaborative in the early days. I mean, I'm sure Connor will have a lot, some to say about it, but this was his project that just kind of started as him by himself. And, he brought on us a little bit later on, and we had our first album, we had another EP. And then with this album, we kind of really started collaborating. It became a lot more like, hey, like he would come to practice like, hey, I have a skeleton of a song. Sometimes it would be like, I have this one riff, and we'd start writing on it and, come up with this thing that was completely different than the idea that he had shown us. I remember, plenty of times he would bring a riff to us and we'd be playing it, come up with something, and we'd get done and he'd be like, yeah, that was like not at all the feel that I was going for, but like I'm loving it. Like, and sometimes it would be like, we're going to pocket that one away for another song because it kind of carried us away from where I wanted this idea to go. And it was great though. I mean, it really opened up, I felt like it kind of opened up our doors as a band to explore like what we sound like instead of just, trying to fit inside of something, another bubble.
Yeah. And Connor, was that kind of hard at first to kind of accept the different direction?
No, I think because it was really organic. I think if someone had stepped up and said like, hey man, this is cool, but we had a talk and we think it's best if we go this direction, like if it was
that would be pretty,
I would probably take that pretty personally. But it was really just like, a lot of it too was that, like Drew said, they were very like they were very like immature ideas in that they hadn't been fleshed out in my mind. And so I'd be like, here's something that feels like it could be something, but I don't know what that something is, right? And so I will bring it to these people whose like musicianship and creativity I trust and respect, and like, just sort of bounce it off that wall and see what comes of it. And there were also times where like maybe it took that different direction, and then I steered it back toward what I was thinking. But no, it was never the case of me like my ego being affected by that.
And real quick with because I'm assuming, like I assumed that Nocturnal Broadcast is a fairly unique name, but when I searched it in Apple Music, there's two different Nocturnal Broadcast artists. One from 2018. Is that you guys as well? Is that your music previous, Connor?
Maybe. I actually don't know. Do you know
the album is called A Pendulum Ache?
Yeah, that's us. It actually should be the same. So that's unfortunate. And I will look into that. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I was confused because I was like, it sounds similar. The vocals were the thing that was like, I mean, it's got to be the same band, but I was like, maybe they were just wanting to just kind of separate it. And like, I was like, I don't know why you'd want to, because the first album was really good as well. But I feel like the second album definitely took things to another level. I was like, the first one was, I don't know. I don't know how to even explain it, but this, like, I feel like Null was kind of like a really cohesive album that just made sense to me.
With the first one, I recorded my parts on top of a completely finished recorded album.
Really?
It was one of those things. I joined the band after like the first initial recording had taken place, and they're like, well, like we don't want to release this with like not what it's going to actually sound like, so let's add the stuff on. So yeah, it definitely the cohesiveness was not there with that one because of
okay
for those, and we definitely got it together, I think, with Noel, because again, it was all completely collaborative. But
yeah, that's awesome.